Hi, my name is Amy, and I have the pleasure of introducing my husband, Rich Bradley, to you today for today's Pinnacle Perspective podcast. We're filming on a holiday weekend, so we're outside enjoying a little beautiful weather, and you may see a golf cart go by. You might hear a little extra noise in the background, but you know, recruiters, we work all the time, so here we go. All right, Rich Bradley is the owner of Team Bradley. He has also been a previous owner of Dynamic Staffing, and prior to that worked as a recruiter at another agency. I have known this man for a long time, and I'm really excited to share with you today his topic. That topic today is, it's planning, not luck. And I'm super excited about this topic simply because people, when we were working in a bigger office, people would come by and like, man, he's so lucky, man, he's so lucky. And it's like, no, it's not luck, it's planning. So today I'm going to ask Rich a few questions about his planning, because that planning is what makes him incredibly just like a dog with a bone, or they used to call him the road runner, that guy who's going to get after it. So Rich, thanks for joining us today. I'm super excited to be chatting with you, and we're going to talk about your planning. So, all right, so as we get the ball rolling here, let's talk about kind of the pre-planning planning, which for you on a yearly basis, how do you attack the year? Because we don't just start with our, okay, this is what I'm going to do today and then roll it into tomorrow. How do we get that, okay, this is what I'm going to do this year? What does Rich Bradley do?
When I first started in this business, our company I worked for did annual awards. And so real quickly I realized, oh wow, you know, you get accolades, you get trophies, you get prizes.
Stuff, you're into stuff.
Back then, stuff. And so I would have at the end of the year a sit down with myself and say, hey, here's what I want to try to accomplish for the next year's awards banquet. And about halfway through the year, you lose focus, you realize you're not on track with where you want to be. And so I came up with the concept of twice a year doing a planning session. So the year nicely would break down January 1st, July 1st, were my New Year's Eves, or New Year's Day, I should say. And the day before, December 31st and June 30th, were my New Year's Eves. So before those New Year's...
Always.
Yeah, always, yeah.
Always, since I've known this man, always those two times, we have to sit down and plan. Until I met him, I really wasn't a big planner in that way, but I got with the program.
True. So we will sit down and we'll plan out the year for personal, whether it be health or family or whatever. And then we also will sit down and plan out and map out work. And it served me very well. And so I will put down, what do I want to do for the amount of placements or production, and then how many placements is that? And then how many send-outs does that mean I have to get that number of placements? How many resumes do I have to send out to get that number of send-outs? And so I really kind of break it down into that, which is where I know how many calls it takes for me to make every day to get all those numbers all along the line. So that's the number of calls isn't just an arbitrary thing for me. It's really broken down into that. So as I said, twice a year I sit down and we'll have that kind of map out session. And obviously this last 6 months was a little tough.
A little dicey?
So normally I would be all excited for July 1st to then look at okay, what am I doing the second half of the year, and also look at what I did the first half of the year. And
usually more fun than this year.
Yeah, usually a little bit more fun, but definitely was looking forward to the July 1st, but so much so that we decided here at Team Bradley and in our own personal family that we weren't even going to give it the same name. So we did a survey and came up with a poll, not a survey, and came up with this year, July 1st was 2020 2.0.
2020 2.0, let's go.
Yeah, and so that's been our focus. It's a new year, it's a new direction, and yeah, we can't change what's going on in the outside world, but we can certainly make what we want to have happen in the office and for the company. So, and it's all from a planning standpoint. And we're only a few days into it, and we're already seeing the success of that positivity and new plans. So
Yeah, because it's planning, not luck.
it is planning, not luck.
So, what do you do? What's important in a planner to you?
Well, the biggest thing is to have, this sounds silly, but to have a plan. What am I trying to get done? The day needs to start with what's closest to money and end, yeah, exactly, and end with what did I do by the end of the day to set myself up for tomorrow's potential closest to money. So for me, it's a mixture of the immediate things like reference checks or calling to get a debrief to hopefully hear that you're getting an offer, or calling because you have an offer and actually presenting that offer. But obviously those main things, but then as well presenting candidates to companies to try to get new business, trying to call people to say, hey, I have a job, here's the specs, are you interested? So the day kind of progresses from most hot to what can I do to turn up other things.
And I think that's really important when you talk about the planning piece of it, because if you don't plan, you will be at noon and you won't have accomplished anything. I would have to add that part of your planning perspective is that you go into the day knowing where you're headed.
Well, as you know, I don't end the day until I've done my plan. I just can't do that. I can't go into the next day and say, oh, I'm going to sit down and make my planner, because all of a sudden it's noon, 1 o'clock, and I've not made any calls. For me, it's I use a 1st and 10, a football analogy. But how quickly can I get my first 10 calls done before getting distracted with all the other things that need that come into your day, your email and whatever it may be. But that's the key. How quickly can I get my first 10 calls done? And then from there, then the day can progress. Once I'm on the phone and I'm flowing and I'm comfortable, then I can attack the rest of my day.
So the next question I'm going to kind of circle back to is that planner question. What is the best planner? And your answer to that is always what?
Well, everybody wants to know what's the magic planner that I use, and
the magic planner.
Yeah, I wish I could say it was a magic planner, but I tried 15, 20 different planners, and I ended up taking an Excel spreadsheet, putting lines, drawing a map, and kind of putting together my own personal planner so that it flowed the way I wanted it to. So there's nothing special, there's nothing fancy. You just have to have a planner that works for you.
We're going to share a copy of that, but that is truth be told. And really, you can have the most awesome planner in the world, but what's the key to any planning?
Well, to do it.
To do it. To do it. And so as we're talking about planners, I work differently, and really it's just, boy, you really have to hit that ground running first thing in the morning. I think that is one of the keys to your success with planning.
That is the key. And frankly, as I've evolved, this planner, I could probably tweak it a little bit, because some things I do differently now than what I did 25, 30 years ago, which is really how long I've used this planner. But I don't change it, because it's a habit for me, and I just, every day, I'm filling out each of my grids in each of my areas, and if I do that, I know I'm going to have some success that day. The other thing I would point out on this planner is, again, as I said before, 1st and 10. How many calls?
I did say it's a weekend, and we're working on the weekend.
Oh, did the golf
carts are going by. Okay, go ahead.
As I said, 1st and 10. How many calls can I get, or how quickly can I get my first 10 calls in? But my day is usually anywhere from 60 to 80 calls. There's times I really need to turn up business. Maybe it's 80 to 100 calls. There's a day where maybe I know I need to do a little bit of something else besides being on the phone from a business ownership standpoint or my family standpoint. Then maybe my day is 40 to 50 or 40 to 60 calls. So you have to go into the day knowing what can I really commit to each day. But once you've made that commitment, as you know, my day doesn't stop until I've made all the calls on that planner.
And another note, if I could interject about Rich's planning, is that he said two things that I think are really key when it comes to planning and not having it be luck. It's that he does it every night. He has a habit of it. And he does use the same planner because it's what works for him. Maybe you have a digital copy or something that works for you, but what's tried and true is what will help you succeed. So let's talk about that planner of yours for just a minute. Tell me what the components of your planner are.
And again, this is my own concoction. You have to have your own flow, but for me, it's what's closest to money, as I said earlier. And typically those are, I had an interview going on, I need to get feedback from the client or from the candidate. I have a candidate who went on an interview and we need to do reference checks on that person. I have a resume out to somewhere and I want to follow up with that client to try to get that hopeful interview, PC, whatever it might be, set up. And then of course the best would be I have a company who's made an offer and now I have to call that candidate and hopefully get that all closed up. All those are my top calls that go on the very far on my paper, as you'll see on the sheet
Attachment.
We'll attach.
It'll be here, floating in the corner.
Somewhere, yeah. That's all on the top left side of the paper for me. And then on the top right-hand side of the paper I am personally more focused on client development and getting jobs. That's typically my main focus to my day. And so when I have that on the top right, it's all the clients that I'm going to call to either get a job order, hopefully, get more information from them because I already have a job order, or client development, trying to get a new client, new company that is going to want to use Team Bradley.
Yay!
So those are the top two sections, the right and left side. Down on the bottom, for me, on the bottom right, I list these are my top candidates, the people that I feel are my MPCs. We all use a similar term, probably. What are my top jobs? What are the ones that I want to keep top of mind as I'm talking to candidates? And then what resumes do I have out and that I want to stay on top of so that I'm remembering who I need to reach out to from a client standpoint. So that's just kind of the daily thing that I have that I keep tabs with. And then on the left-hand side of this paper is people that I'm targeting that I'm going to go recruit or try to reach out to for a specific job. So those are my four quadrants on my paper. Nothing fancy. I told you guys there's no magic to this. There's no luck. It's just making sure you fill out every block and
get after it.
Get on the phone. And then as well, you'll see a section that's personal. We all have things going on in our day. I got to call and confirm we just had this week. I had to take the car into the shop, and then the next day, is the car done so that I can come pick it up? So, I mean, we all have personal things that go on. But as you'll see from my sheet, there's like 5 lines for that. There's 90 some odd lines for all the business stuff. So don't mix up your day. You're here to make
on the
work
phone
stuff
does
done.
not mean you're doing business.
True. And now that we're all working from home, it makes it a little even harder to keep that line separate. I saw a quote, not a quote, but a comic that said, I'm confused. Am I working from home or am I home working? It's the way we are
Yes.
right now. Yes
Yes.
is exactly the answer to both.
Yes.
So
that's
hopefully
good.
that helps give you an idea of kind of how my day is lined up
In your planner.
in my plan.
Thanks. That and how do you fill that planner? I watch you put those calls down and everything else, but for those who are like struggling to fill their planner, I got a planner and I can implement it, but I got nothing on it.
Yeah.
Where do we go from there?
Well, and I get asked that question at conventions and by other recruiters all the time. Where do I come up with these calls? How do I do that? And you're right, but you also are missing one other piece. You said I've got 2 planners. No, you're right, and you're more right.
Pages, 2
There's
pages.
I have a binder, and I always keep at least 30 days after today's date underneath
paper.
that, already written out. Monday to this date, Tuesday through Friday, and then Monday, and so it's usually 4 weeks at a time. And then if somebody says, hey, call me in such and such time, yes, I put it into the computer because we use an applicant tracking system, so that it'll be there. But if it's any of the days within the next few days, everything gets written down on that day. If it's a month from now, well, then I don't write down the month from now. But if it's within that 3 to 4 week time period, I put that into my planner so that the next day when I'm doing my planner that night, there's already a whole bunch of stuff already, or not the next day, actually that night, there's already a whole bunch of things already on that planner page to kind of start out, to flesh out with. So each day has a flow, you know. I couldn't get this reference, move it to tomorrow. I couldn't get such and such candidate for such and such job, or such and such client to try to get a job. It gets moved to tomorrow. So there's a certain
Cadence.
Cadence is my word. But there's a certain ebb and flow to what's going on in my planner. So at any time by the end of the day, I have probably usually 20 to 25 or maybe even 30 things already written down for the next day that I don't even have to like try to reinvent the wheel on. Now, as I said, I try to make usually right around 80 calls a day on a typical day. So that means I need to come up with another 50 to 60 calls that then go into the planner. And come on, we're recruiters. That's our job, is to talk to 40 to 50 or 60 people anyway every day to try to turn up jobs and try to turn up, people for jobs. So it's fairly easy then to come up with those from that standpoint. But the closest to money stuff and the things you have to be doing, those nicely are already on my planner page. I said earlier about when I do it, and to me, I do it in the evening for many things. One, I don't want to interrupt my flow to my first intent for the next day, but at the same time, it's all fresh in my mind during the day. So that's why I put this all in the planner now, so that I don't have to try to remember the next morning, oh, what was that conversation I had, and what do I need to do? And so I just keep it as simple as possible. Hope you all enjoyed the
Golf people going
people
by.
There.
And I paused because I'm the one who can lose little pieces of paper off my desk. I don't even know why. I don't even know why we hang out together sometimes, because he is just so regimented about, this is the piece of his life that he's most regimented about as far as what he's doing and how he works, and planning and implementing. Thanks.
Well,
Thanks
that's
for,
a piece that works for me, but then she has other pieces that work really well for her. So again, everybody's different. Everybody's gonna have a different system, and you just gotta work your plan. That's the key. Work your plan.
You're a rock star. Thanks. You want to be.
True, and I do know some people that, I have my plan for the week. That doesn't work for me. I have to have a daily planner so that every day I know I'm going to be on the phone. This is the things that I'm going to get accomplished that day. Other people can have their 30 things that they, or 20 or whatever it is that they want to get done for the week, and then each day they systematically. Again, it's whatever works for you, but you have to have a plan, and you have to then execute that plan. One of our stories that we tell about is a time where you went into the hospital to have our little one, and I had forgotten to bring my planner home that night, and it was when
how that happened. I do not know.
I bring it home religiously, and obviously I must have had some knowledge or weirdness going on that I had premonition or whatever that this was all going to be a crazy night, but I had forgotten it at work, and so the doctor said, this is going to be several hours. I said, do I have enough time to get to the office, get my planner, and come back? And
I'm thinking, are you kidding me?
he said yes, by the way. I want everybody to know he said yes.
He did.
She
I didn't
did
believe
not
him.
say yes, but I still was able to run over there, and it was only 10 minutes away, get it, come back, and then that way when the baby was here and she was sleeping, I was able to make my calls and do my planner. That's
And
how key it is for me.
that's a really good point. And it's still a story we tell, and that little girl is going off to college. So,
I
planning.
survived.
Yeah. Here's another good question for Rich, and it works into planning and how sometimes planning, it can be rote, and you can kind of have the same thing you do every day, but business and recruiting is an ebb and flow. So when you're feeling like you're not on it, you've been doing your planner every day, you do the things that you do to succeed. What do you do? What happens with that planner? What changes for you when you just need to kind of retool?
The quick word is simplify. When I'm trying to do 80 to 100 calls, it's really easy at times to lose focus on what am I trying to get done here. And I had a mentor many years ago, and I still thank him every time I remember this trick, if you will, is to pick one job or pick one candidate and then go fill that job or place that candidate. And it's got to be somebody you're excited about, or a company that you're excited about, that, oh my gosh, I need to do this. And then make that your day. Just all your calls are on that job. All your calls are on that candidate. Whatever it is, make that your focus. And he actually shared that tip, if you will, not only for the doldrums that happen, obviously, with your planner, but as well to help get out of a slump. We all have them. Hopefully they're all shorter than longer, but we all have times where we get into a slump. And that was his tip, if you will, on that as well. Pick somebody you're excited about. Pick a job you're excited about and go fill it. Go find them a job. And all of a sudden, a lot of other really good things will start happening. If you're trying to find somebody for a job, you're going to find somebody you're excited about as well, and now you're off to the races to try to help them. Or you're going to run across another job, and now all of a sudden, instead of one really exciting job, you have two, and then three, and then more. So again, you pick that one thing you're excited about, and everything will just flow from that.
Good vibes. Go with it.
It works. I'm telling you.
Thanks. Thanks, Rich Bradley, for your Pinnacle perspective on
It's planning, not luck. Cut that part out.
I'll be happy to. I'll put it in the trailer.
Great.
Okay. Thanks for joining us on this Pinnacle perspective. Thank
It's
you.
planning, not. So you said
I
that?
didn't say thank you, Rich Bradley.
No, let's start again because I want to actually start with something.